All right, guys. Here we go again today. Hey, listen, everybody out there in YouTube land, and here in this study today, the study that is about to transpire today is one of great significance if you're willing to accept it. But I promise you that the scriptures will continue to open up to you, to the diligent seeker. So let's bow our head. Dear Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for anointing this messenger with this message today. Continue to allow this seed to fall on good ground and open up the hearts and the minds of the people to accept this message today. Let your word not return unto thee void, but let it accomplish that which you please and prosper in everywhere and everything that you send it. In your precious son's name we pray. All right, so Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, 2 souls, alas, are housed within my breast, and each will wrestle for the mastery there. So I'll give you a hint. Jacob wrestled with God in the land of Peniel, defeating his other man. 2 are housed in the breast of every being, the real story of Esau and Jacob, as it's written in black and white for you to see, but you cannot see it without what? You can't see it without spiritual eyes. You're always looking at it with your physical two eyes and reading it as a physical play. But let's do this. Behavior is the mirror in which everyone shows their image. None are more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely believe they are free. And here's the most important part about today. Knowing is not enough. We must apply. Willing is not enough. We must do. All right, so the false reality built around us breeds within us a sort of what? Hopelessness, helplessness. Right, we get that feeling like nothing that we do matters. And it is the exact opposite. Do not fall for this trap. This is the highest wisdom that I own. Highest wisdom you will ever own is just right here. Freedom and life are what? Earned. By those alone who conquer them each day anew. Discernment comes with time. Knowledge becomes wisdom once it is applied. Seeing the behavior of others is your measuring stick. I want to do a prayer request for Sister Sharon Baker, who lost her job fighting the tyranny of mask in our workplace. They wanted to wear a mask. I've sent her an email today asking her if there's more I could do for her. But anyway, we want to pray for her. Today is what transpires when our intuition is inspired through meditating on the Father day and night. He always opens the door needed for us to advance. Psalm 119:78, let the proud be ashamed, for they dealt perversely with me without a cause. But I will meditate in thy precepts. You're going to learn the difference between a precept and a concept today. We're going to see these things. High frequency radio. For those of you that do follow that channel, made a few claims the other day in a video of his that are wrong. A couple of assertions that he made about who the Jews are and who the white man is and everything else. Of course, these people always talking about my people, right? My people. When they speak of that, they're talking about their what? They're colored. They're same colored people. We're going to show again today that ignorance has been with us since when? Since the beginning of time. And it will continue to play out. John 10:7. Then Yahushua said unto them again, verily, verily, I say unto you, I am the door of the sheep. All that ever came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them. I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved, and shall go in and out and find pasture. Verily, verily, I say unto you, before Abraham was, I am. For many deceivers are entered into the world who confess not that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh. This is a deceiver and an antichrist. Mark 12:27, he is not the God of the dead, but the God of the living. You therefore do greatly what? Err. I just read these for a reason. We'll talk about these 4 scriptures again later. And there's a reason for that. Because first we're going to jump off into the deep end on who is Esau and who is Jacob. Augmented reality. Before we do that, I do want to talk about these few things here. Augmented reality, where people are responsible for dead people's actions. Now, listen, let me show you how retarded this is. This whole little racism deal right here, where everything else is about the white man owes us retribution and everything else. Each man is responsible for what? His actions. For me to be responsible for someone else's actions is what? The height of lunacy. That's just ludicrous. But here I wanted to give a little backstory about the Jews and why I say Jews. And we're going to continue to use the word Jews because they are the way of the world. It is Esau, Edom, and I'm going to prove that today. Prove it 100%. Official sources today, and I want to read from the Soviet Negro pamphlet from 1935. Let's go do that. I'll just do this. And this is it from 1935. And it was called the Negroes in Soviet America. Okay? And of course, even then, the world was in a big change. Capitalism has not been able to provide these needs and is less and less able to do so. We're going to go down here to page 38, though. It's the first known instance of hate crime. Let's see where it is. It is, 35, I'm sorry. There it is, right there. No, where is it? Oh, here it is, right here. Any act of discrimination or of prejudice against a Negro will become a crime under the revolutionary law. It's the first time you've ever seen hate crime. Let me tell you something, folks. If I attack you and hurt you, what is it? It's a hate crime. Out of fear comes hate. Out of fear comes anger. All these ideas spring from the same well. All right. We're gonna read one more when we get back in here, and we're gonna read Israel Cohen, which is entered into. And I'm gonna tell you, you know who shared the Israel Cohen with me? Thomas the Ram. He's a black subscriber. I had forgot. We must realize that our party's most powerful weapon is racial tensions. By propounding into the consciousness of the dark races that for centuries they have been oppressed by whites, we can mold them to the program of the Communist Party. In America, we will aim for subtle victory while inflaming the Negro minority against the whites. We will endeavor to instill in the whites a guilt complex for their exploitation of the Negroes. We will aid the Negroes to rise in prominence in every walk of life, in the professions and in the world of sports and entertainment. With this prestige, the Negro will be able to intermarry with the whites and begin a process which would deliver America to our cause. What year did Israel Cohen say that? 1912. It's entered into the Congressional Record on June 7th, 1957 by Thomas Abernathy. You heard shame, guilt, fear, anger, apathy, right? Remember this? This is where all your lower vibrations are. And people continue to live, and I'll do this on here. So these whites around here with this white guilt and everything else, this is just ludicrous. Unbelievable the amount of ignorance in this society. But let me show you something, folks. You see all these people? There's whites, there's blacks, there's destruction of cities. They've allowed it to happen. Why have they allowed it to happen? Because it suits the agenda. If they didn't want these kids walking through the street and burning the place down, would it have happened?
They would have used force.
Well, but the problem is they're the ones out here who's doing this. Our own military is out here, and our own police officers are putting bricks in the road, inciting violence. And why is that? We're going to answer those questions today. Hey guys, I promise y'all, if you stay around here during this study today, you're going to enjoy what happens. You're going to enjoy the knowledge that is shared. Don't leave in just 15, 20 minutes. You're not going to get the whole story. All right, guys. With eyes to see and ears to hear, the story is self-evident. Genesis 25:21. And Isaac entreated Yahuwah And Isaac entreated Yahuwah for his wife because she was barren, and Yahuwah was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. And the children struggled together within her, and she said, If it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of Yahuwah. And Yahuwah said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. Now, 1 million different race documents have come from this one scripture. The blacks are Jacob. The whites are Jacob. All kind of hate doctrine comes from this. Now, let me tell you something, folks. If you go read the Bible and you're looking for a document of war, what will you find? Everything in it to fulfill your desires. If you go read the Bible looking to find a document of peace, what will you find? A document of peace. Everything. This is the tree of knowledge of both good and evil. Looking at everything with your physical eyes, you will never see the spiritual nature of what you're reading. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red, all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. Now see, the first thing that the Hebrew Israelites do, they'll paint a picture of a twins, of a black and a white twin. Okay? And that's what they'll do. And the same thing with the whites, that the white will go, we are the chosen race. But they miss key points in this story. So remember this. He's red. He's hairy. Okay? Remember that. Here, let's do this together. Your baby is born with all the hair follicles they'll ever have. A hair follicle is part of the skin from which hair stands growth. The moment you're born, what's on a body? Hair. All right? Let's just remember that as we go forward. And the first came out, and after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel. Grabbed the heel. And his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. Esau the hairy red blood, and Jacob the supplanter without hair. And we'll prove that Jacob was hairless. All right? And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter. Remember, the hunters of men's souls. Just like Nimrod. Nimrod was a what? A mighty hunter. A man of the field. And Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in tents. Another reading of Genesis 25:27 from the LEB Bible, and many others have it this way. And the boys grew up, and Esau was a skilled hunter, a man of the field, but Jacob was a what? Peaceful man, living in tents. And Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved who? Jacob. All right. Natural man cannot see or perceive the invisible. First off, let's get that out of the way. You're always looking with your natural eyes. You'll never see the invisible world around you. You'll never recognize the spirit that dwells within. And we'll see this right off. This is Esau. And Jacob sawed pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, Feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. And Jacob said, Sell me this day thy birthright. Well, to the natural man, what's a birthright? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. He can't see it. There's no tangible deal. But what can he do with the pottage? He can see it. And Esau said, Behold, I'm at the point of dying. What profit shall this birthright do to me? And Jacob said, Swear to me this day. And he swore unto him, and he sold his birthright unto Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat, and he drank, and he rose up, and he went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. Genesis 27:11. And Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, Behold, Esau my brother is a hairy man, and I am a what? Smooth man. Hairless. Pay attention, folks. Listen to me. Listen to me. People go reading this Bible and think they have all the answers. All the answers figured out, and nobody's paying attention to what? The details. My father peradventure will fail me, and I shall seem to him as a deceiver. And I shall bring a curse upon me, and not a blessing. And his mother said unto him, Upon me be thy curse, my son. Only obey my voice, and go fetch me them. And he went and fetched, brought them to his mother. And his mother made savory meat, such as his father loved. And Rebekah took goodly raiment of her eldest son Esau, which were with her in the house, and put them upon Jacob, her younger son. And she put the skins of the kids of the goats upon his hands, and upon the smooth of his neck. And she gave the savory meat and the bread, which she had prepared, into the hand of her son Jacob. Now, folks, do y'all really believe that she went and skinned a goat and clothed Jacob with goat skin? And that fooled the father? Huh? That's what it says? Here I am, who art thou, my son? And Jacob said unto his father, I am Esau, thy firstborn. I am Esau, thy firstborn. Pay attention, my friends. Pay attention. I've done according as thou badest me. Arise, I pray thee, sit and eat of my venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Isaac said unto his son, How is it that thou hast found it so quickly, my son? And he said, Because the Lord thy God brought it to me. And Isaac said unto him, Jacob, come near, I pray thee, that I may feel thee, my son, whether thou be my very son Esau or not. So the natural man is wanting to feel. He's got to touch it. Got to see it. Got to hear it. Got to smell it. And Jacob went unto Isaac his father, and he felt him and said, This voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau. Oh, wow, we got a little problem here. There's a Jacob and an Esau mix. Huh? And he said, Art thou my very son Esau? And he said, What? I am. And he said, Bring it near to me, and I will eat of my son's venison, that my soul may bless thee. And he brought it near to him. And he did eat, and he brought him wine, and he drank. Wine is a symbol of what in the Bible? Happiness, joy. Just so y'all know before we even go any further, what's the first miracle that Yahushua did? Turn water into wine at the what? The wedding feast. Yeah. It's joy, happiness springs forth out of the wine. Oh, what a joy it is to see clearly. I was once blind and what? Now I see. Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born of water and of the Spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom of God. What's the first birth? What's that? The physical. What's the second birth? Spirit. Now remember this. Remember this as we move forward. That which is born of the flesh is what? Flesh. And that which is born of the Spirit is what? Spirit. Marvel not that I said unto thee, you must be born again. The wind bloweth where it listeth, and thou hearest the sound thereof, but canst not tell whence it cometh, and whither it goeth. So is every one that is born of the Spirit. And Esau hated Jacob. Genesis 27:39, and Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. Now he's talking to Esau. He can't have heaven. It's just the dew. He'll have the whole earth, the fatness thereof, but he'll never obtain heaven. Did you understand that? That's what that means. And by the sword thou shalt live. Hold up, back up. This is a big problem right here as we move forward. What does Esau live by?
Sword.
And shalt what? Serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. So whose yoke has he broke? Jacob's yoke. Hey folks, man, this is very important as we move forward. It means he can't obtain heaven. The natural man, old man, firstborn man is what? Twice dead, plucked up by the what? Roots. And the boys grew up, and Esau was a skilled hunter, a man of the field. But Jacob was a what? peaceful man, living in tents. Anyone figure out what the tent is yet? Not yet? Close. Hebrews 11:9, by faith he lived in the land of promise as a stranger, living in tents with Isaac and Jacob, the fellow heirs of the same promise. For he was expecting the city that has foundations, whose architect and builder is who? God. Altars of earth. Hey, look, guys, this spiritual stuff is something deep. Nobody can force you to go do it. Nobody can force you to start enjoying life again. Nobody can do any of that. But I promise you that he who seeks the face of the Father diligently will be rewarded 100-fold. That doesn't mean life doesn't have its ups and downs, peaks and valleys and everything else. I've just went through another a valley of mine about 2 months ago. And then come right back out. Esau is the outer man. Jacob is the what? Inner man. Jacob's holding on to the heel. What does Jacob mean, folks? Supplanter. To supplant Esau. Hey, folks, if you can't read the Bible and realize it's metaphor, allegory, and it has a systematic way of revealing its truths to you, you got a problem. Because we're going to see more symbology, more emblems, more everything in Genesis to start the book off. Acts 13:22, and after removing, Jacob is a man after God's heart. Thus, after wrestling with the father in the land of Peniel, he is renamed what? Israel, which means a man after what? Whose heart? God's heart. And after Acts 13:22, and after removing him, he raised up David for their king. And anybody out there, I want y'all to go prove all this stuff. David was the first king that removed all of Edom. Edom became his servants. Now understand what that meant. All the natural men bowed down to who? The spiritual man. Because the older shall serve who? The younger. Because the man imbued with wisdom and knowledge will never bow down to the man of the flesh, now will he? Will I ever bow down to a man of the flesh? Not happening. Why? Because I'm spiritually awake now. About whom he had also said, testifying, I have found David, the son of Jesse, to be a man in accordance with my heart, who will carry out all my will. 2 Samuel 8:14, and he put garrisons in Edom. Throughout all Edom put he garrisons, and all they of Edom became whose servants? David's servants. And Yahuwah preserved David whithersoever he went. Ephesians 4:22, that you put off concerning the former conversation, the old man, the who? Who's born first? You think it's an accident it's called the old man? No, sir. Nothing's an accident in this book. We may not have the understanding to understand at the time that we're reading it, but I promise you, if you keep looking, you'll find it. Which is corrupt according to the what? The deceitful lust. Remember now, Esau hates his birthright. Esau's angry. He lives by the what? Sword. Violence. That's who Esau is. He's the natural man. Lie not one to another. Colossians 3:9. Seeing that you have put off the old man with his what? With his deeds. By deed you prove yourself to be the natural man or the spiritual man. We battle not the flesh. How many times do you have to read this stuff and you still want to go read the Bible as it pertains to the flesh? Seek not after your own, lean not on your own understanding, right? Ephesians 6:11, put on the whole armor of God that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. What have you allowed into your temple? Shame, guilt, fear, or hatred? Devils and doctrines of demons which poison the soul and destroy the what? The spirit. Hey folks, you want to know why I've turned off this TV? And we'll talk about this later, right? Where there's a little exposure in here about Yusufel and old Richie from Boston. It's nothing bad. It's nothing bad. It's how I've learned from these men who stopped their progression forward. Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in that evil day, and having done all to stand. Well, let's go here. Let's read it together. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth. Well, how can you have truth if you don't have knowledge? How can you have knowledge if you don't seek it? Impossible. And having on the breastplate of righteousness, that's white. And your feet shod with the preparation of the what? Is that the gospel of war? Hey, there's somebody out there who reads this all the time, that he wears the armor of God, and the first thing he preaches is the gospel of fear and what? War. He has no clue what the gospel of peace means. He has no clue what the peacemaker means. He wants to be a peacekeeper, and he thinks they're one and the same. Folks, these ideas are separate. A peacemaker begins the process within. I can't control you, or you out there in YouTube land. I can't do it. So if I want the world to change, whose world do I have to change? Mine. And your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of what? Faith. We've gone through this. Faith just isn't loose-lipply saying something. It's what? Really believing. Wherewith you shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. And take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit. What's your weapon? It's Jacob. It's Israel. It's I am. We're going to get to these answers. We're going to answer all this today, folks. Greater is he that is where? Than who? Than he that is where? In the world. Right? The same thing, Mama. Very good. Mama said without, but she answered it 95% true. But it's still the same. If you don't fix what is inside the cup first, what happens? You're just shining up all the outside. Which is the word of God. Esau shall serve us when we finally become aware of who what we are. The older shall serve what? The younger. Why is the younger the spirit? What leads to us becoming spiritually enlightened, folks? Experience. Life. It doesn't happen. You don't come out and go, hell, play that Mozart over there. I'm about to go. But no. Life is what eventually brings you back to the truth of the Spirit. Does it not? It did for me. Are you feeding Israel, Jacob, or Esau? Esau is the monster recorded on your birth certificate, guys. The physical being. Yeah, that's right, guys. I just told you that. That's the truth. Esau's the monster that is recorded on your birth certificate. And legally is a monster. This monster thrives on violence and everything evil in this world. Esau is the state of being that our programmers want us in. Racial hatred, fear and loathing, shame and guilt, apathetic instead of empathetic, and finally, and most importantly, ignorant and controlled. Fear, superstition, and ignorance is the fuel of a decadent society. Wisdom, strength, and love of a prospering society. If I continue to feed Esau daily with my personalized hatred, now everybody in here knows that my personalized hatred was Jewry a while back. I still don't like Judaism, and I still don't like Jewry. And the reason for that is because it's what? Our Messiah separated himself from Jewry at all times, did he not? The Jews sought to kill him. Why did they sought? They are the world. Remember those pictures I showed of the black and white people and everybody protesting, burning stuff up? That's Esau, that's Edom, that is Jewry. We're going to continue to show this now. How am I any better if I continue to feed Esau just like them? How am I better? Do I keep the moral high ground if I think, feel, and act the same way as Esau? No, I'm Esau. Hey, you can't get out of this logic and reason. I don't care. It's a trap that you're going to get into that you're going to logically say, yeah, but if we continue to allow Jewry to run, we're going to have to do something. Hey, buddy, I hate to tell anybody out there, there's no returning anywhere. Where are we going? Forward. Better get your spiritual houses in order. The whole world wanders after the beast and worships the beast. This image is in their minds, and they being natural brute beasts of the field, they can never discern what? The spiritual. There's no direct lineage back to Jacob that anyone can prove. And everybody here knows, am I a diligent researcher? Have I not tried to go and prove without a doubt that the white man was the lineage of Jacob? Or have I not gone to try looking in and trying to prove that the black man was the real Hebrews and everything else? Both of them. At the end of the day, what did I prove? All history is what? The lie agreed upon. There's rabbit holes and trails that lead off where? Everywhere. The only thing someone can do is try to what? Use a corrupted record of history that makes them feel better in their flesh suit. Let me tell you something, folks. You're going to leave this world with less than what you came in it. You come in with this vessel. You're going to leave it without it. And I hate to tell anybody out there, any knucklehead, any dodo bird, that you're going back to that spirit world, and whether you black, white, green, or whatever, you better start figuring out what you're doing here, because you get one chance. Matthew 25:33, and he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on the left. Now see, that's symbolic, right? Why is that symbolic, guys? Because the right hand is what? It's the path of righteousness. It's where the word righteousness comes from. The left-hand path is the path of what? This is knowledge and service of self. This is Aleister Crowley's "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law." It's self-worship, always desiring the needs and the wants of the flesh. The right-hand path goes with what? Spirituality. And I'm just telling y'all this, folks, because I want people. There's going to be people out there after this study that says, "Well, the Bible's not symbolic at all. It's pretty straightforward." Well, no, it isn't. There's all kind of symbology all over the Bible. We're going to see some more. Then shall the king say, capital King say unto them on his right hand, "Come, you blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me meat. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you took me in. Naked, and you clothed me." Oh, man. Man, that's just crazy. Huh? Naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came unto me. Then shall the righteous answer him, saying, "Lord, when we saw thee an hungry and fed thee, or thirsty, and gave thee drink?" They want to know, when did we see this? And he's talking spiritual talk. Is he not? The apostles want to know, when did this happen? When we saw thee sick or in prison and came unto thee. And the king shall answer and say unto them, "Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as you have done it unto one of the least of my brethren, you have done it unto me." This is spiritual. The physical man can't understand this. We come in naked and we were clothed by the physical what? Esau, the hairy one. Jacob, the supplanter, if fed properly, will what? Remove Esau from his place. Let's continue on. You can't serve two masters, folks. Two must be made into what? One. The darkness must be made light. Evil must be made good. All these attributes that happen over time as you become spiritually mature, they happen. You'll be able to discern this. "Lay not up for yourselves treasure upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. And where your treasure is, folks, that's your heart. When you speak about this, that's your desires, that's your moods, that's your emotions. That's all these things that are so easily controlled by outside influence. But if the light of the body is the eye, if therefore thine eye be single, you're making two into what? Two into what? One. You're making Esau and Jacob into what? I told you this was going to be pretty good, huh? Huh? But if thine eye be evil, if thine eye be the physical, the whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in thee be darkness, how great is that darkness? No one can serve two masters. You just can't do it. It's impossible. For either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon. The material world is your God. You believe something to be true and make the doctrines and commandments of men your reality. So you've made the two one with either Esau or Jacob. You're either going to supplant the natural man, the man with violence, the man with swords, or you'll die by the sword. Why is it not so? Those who live by the sword, what? Hi. Hey man, this listen, folks. You know, I had another guy last week that got mad at me. He said, "Man, you make all kind of contradictions." I said, "No, I don't trust the translation into English. There's a reason for that. Am I making that opinion on a light study of the English language? No. There's issues with the English language, just like right now. I'm showing you spiritual truths in the English language, but if you go back to the Greek or the Hebrew, they're a little bit easier discerned because the language had spiritual language in it. We do not. If I say heart, 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 heart over again, there's only one word for the heart. Well, that's all you ever think you're talking about is a little heart-shaped box. And it's not the case. So it takes a lot of reading and discernment. Genesis 49:2, gather yourselves together and hear, you sons of Jacob, and hearken unto Israel your father. Now we're going into the next stage of this, me proving to you that what I've set out to show you that who Israel is, and we're going to show you that the sons of Israel are actually have personas. Each tribe of Israel has a different mindset, and we're going to show you that the lost 10 tribes have specific meaning, and nobody sees it. Y'all ready? Let's read this together. Let's do the 12 tribes of Israel. And look, there's more study on this. I'm only doing about 45% of this, but this is to prove the point that I've made so far. Jacob's holding the heel of Esau coming into the world. If you don't feed Jacob, you what? You're losing. And Esau, the natural-sided man who lives on violence and who lives on hate, who lives on anger, who lives on guilt, who lives on shame, is who sits in the temple of the Most High his entire life. All right, so Reuben, thou art my firstborn, my might, and the beginning of my strength, the excellence of dignity, and the excellency of power. But you're unstable as water. Thou shalt not excel, because thou wentest up to thy father's bed. That means you went up to your father's bed, defiled it with your carnal what? Desires, and went up to my couch, defiled the place of rest, sleep through what? Carnal desires. Genesis 49:5, Simeon and Levi are brethren. Instruments of cruelty are in their what? Habitations, their sword. O my soul, come not into their secret, unto their assembly. Mine honor, be not thou united, for in their anger they slew a man. And in their self-will they dig down a wall. Cursed be their anger, for it was fierce, and their wrath, for it was cruel. I will divide them in Jacob and what? Scatter them in Israel. Divide these fools in Jacob and scatter them from Israel. Do no violence, live honestly, and give every man his due. Genesis 49:13. Zebulun shall dwell at the haven of the sea, and he shall be for a haven of his ships, and his border shall be unto Zidon. So we got the merchants. All right, so we got the men living by sword. We've got the carnal desires, right? Now we have Zebulun, the merchant. Is a strong ass couching down between two burdens. Strong ass, he carries the load. That's what it means. A burden bearer. Okay? Donkey. And he saw that rest was good, and the land that it was pleasant, and bowed his shoulder to bear, and became a servant under tribute. What's a servant under tribute? Caesar's slave. Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. As one. Dan shall be a what? A serpent by the way, an adder in the path that bites the horse's heels, that makes the what? The rider fall backwards. So we got a deceiver. I have waited for thy salvation, O Jehovah. Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. Out of Asher his bread shall be fat, and he shall yield royal dainties. Naphtali is a hind let loose. He giveth what? Goodly words. Maybe an appeaser? Huh? Joseph is a fruitful bowl, and we'll get into this. You can go do this study anyway. Again, Joseph's portion is split in half between Ephraim and Manasseh, correct? And again, the younger what? Supplants the elder. I would greatly go read all that, but we don't have time for that today. That's another day. Joseph is a fruitful bow, and even a fruitful bow by a well, whose branches run over the wall. The archers have sorely grieved him and shot at him and hated him. So guys, do you think that, are you starting to see an idea yet of who Israel is? The 12 tribes of Israel? But his bow abode in strength, and the arms of his hands were made strong by the hands of the mighty God of Jacob. From thence is the shepherd, the stone of Israel, the rock of offense. Even by even by the God of the Father, who shall help thee, and by the Almighty, who shall bless thee with blessings of heaven above, blessings of the deep that lieth under, blessings of the breast and of the womb. The blessing of thy father hath prevailed above the blessings of my progenitors unto the utmost bound of the everlasting hills. They should be the head of Joseph, and on the crown of the head of him that was separate from his what? Brethren. So he's wearing the crown. He's wearing the crown. And then we have Benjamin shall raven as a wolf. In the morning he shall devour the prey, and at night he shall divide the what? Spoil. I left out Judah for a reason. We're going to go through Judah. We're going to go through Judah completely separately. But has anyone seen anything spiritual yet? Have you seen sets of mind, psychology? Who people are? Let's read it together again. Let's go one by one. Reuben, the beginning of my strength, the excellency of dignity, and the excellency of power. You're unstable as water, because thou wentest up to thy father's bed. Simeon and Levi are brethren. Instruments of cruelty are in their habitations. Cursed be their anger, for it was fierce. These are dwellers of the sword. Zebulun, he's a merchant. He's out at sea. Issachar is a strong ass couching down between two burdens. He ends up not fully picking one or the other. He doesn't make the two what? One. So guess what he gets to be? He gets to be a servant under tribute. Under tribute means it's the God of what? Mammon. All right. Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. But he's a serpent in the way, an adder in the path, because I am judged by no what? Man. He that is spiritual judgeth all things, but he himself is judged by what? No man. And the deceiver calls people to back up. Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. Asher, he's got royal dainties. Naphtali has good words. Joseph is a fruitful bowl. He's so much so that he's got a crown on his head that separates him from his what? Brethren. All right? So I left out Judah. Has anyone noticed that each tribe of Israel reflects a mindset of man? Appeasers, deceivers, thieves, servants under tribute, merchants, material, carnal-minded Reubens, and hate and anger-filled Simeon and Levi. Symbology in the Bible, allegory, metaphors also. The main difference between the symbol and the emblem. What's the difference, guys? Anybody know? Is that the symbol is something that represents an idea. Logos. A process or a physical entity. An emblem is a pictorial image that epitomizes a concept or that represents a person. As nouns, the difference between concept and precept is that concept is an understanding retained in the mind from experience, reasoning, and or imagination, a generalization, generic basic form, or abstraction, mental impression, of a particular set of instances or occurrences, specific though different, recorded manifestations of the concept, while a precept is a rule or principle, especially one governing personal conduct. How many people here know that each tribe had their own emblem? So what would that make it? A rule or principle, especially one governing what? Personal conduct. I am daily losing interest in many channels, and it is because of the intellectual stagnation of the infotainment providers. And how many still serve mammon or refuse to gain the adequate knowledge to start pushing the beast back into its place? The older shall serve the younger. The physical manifests first, and only the spiritual through knowledge, wisdom, and experience. The workman is worthy of his meat. What's that mean to you? To most people, that means you're worthy of the money. But it's actually the opposite. There's milk and there's meat. Spiritual knowledge, right? The meat is the deep things of God. The only way you get those deep things of God is what? Being a workman. Meat isn't mammon, but rather the diligent seekers shall continue removing Edom from his life on his path towards Judah, Yahushua, and seeking the face of the Father. You want to know why the Messiah was the Lion from the tribe of Judah? Right? You want to know why? The heraldic emblems of Judah. Judah is a lion's whelp. He couches. He lies down as a lion. The scepter shall not, what? Depart from Judah. He washes his garments in wine. Now let's read this together. Now listen, folks. This is very important. Because listen, I'm going to start giving you some clues of how to read your Bible properly. One, you have to signify what is being spoken about. Whether we're talking about the flesh, we're talking about the spirit, or whether allegory or metaphors are being used. We're going to show right here in this one little set of scriptures, metaphors and allegories being used for Judah. Okay? And symbolic what? Symbolic text. Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. Now this is the last tribe of Judah. The last tribe of Israel. The brethren shall all praise Judah. Why? Let's go back to Jacob and Esau. The older shall what? Serve the younger. So Judah is of the Spirit. Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, thou art gone up. He stooped down, he crouched as a lion, as an old lion. Who shall rouse him up? Nobody. The scepter, that's the ruling. When you see somebody with a scepter, it's a king, right? What's the old Latin maxim, right? Every man's king of his house. Huh? Which house are they talking about? I am the door. In my Father's house there's many mansions, right? So who's the king of his own mind? Who's the king of the most important house in the world? The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet. Well, what's that mean? unto Shiloh come. Huh? And unto him shall the gathering of the people be, binding his foal into the vine, and his ass's coat under the choice vine. He washed his garments in wine, and his clothes in the blood of grapes. His eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk. What the heck does that mean? Anybody know what that means? Why is the Bible written in sort of code, symbolic language? Hey, let me tell you something. If it was for everybody to instantly understand, would kings and tyrannical leaders allow this book to still be in circulation? Nope. All knowledge is passed down through forms of what? They have to hide it. The young of the lion, who shall rouse him up? The rule shall not depart from Judah, nor the understanding of the lawgivers. So the law is between his feet. What's the first thing that hits the ground when you stand? Your feet, right? So when you're understanding something, it is between what? Your feet. Until Shiloh. Shiloh means peace. You can't have the understanding until what? Peace come. And unto him shall the gathering of the people be. Well, we know this. People emanate towards people that are shining with the Spirit. You see it. You sense it. You can sense when somebody who's not doing well in the Spirit walks into the room, you can feel it. My brother walks into a room. What's the energy felt there, Mama? Darren, you feel it. It's palpable. It's in the air. It's a negative. Binding the foal, the female, and his ass, the colt's ass, the male, unto the vine. I am the what? Branches, and you are the what? Vine. The spiritual man has control of both sides of the mind, the conscious and the subconscious mind. He washed his garments. You were naked, and I clothed you. So what's to wash your garments? What's your garment? What's your garment? What's your real garment? You were born in it, your birthday suit. So to wash it in wine. Wine's joy, peace, happiness. And his clothes in the blood of grapes. What's grapes represent in the Bible? Judgment. Righteousness. Now we're going to show this. Look, let's start right here. He washed his garments in wine and his clothes in the blood of grapes. Now see, the way that it was brought to you in the first scripture, it's going to do it again in the second. That gives you the ability to identify what it means in both. Do you understand that? All right. His eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk. So white with milk means what? Righteousness. Red with wine means what? Peace, happiness, joy. All those. Remember the chart at the beginning? The chart? Fear, hate, anger, malice, apathy. These ideas don't live within Judah. The lion of the tribe. What's the lion represent? Courage. Remember the cowardly lion? What was he missing? What's the tribes that are supposedly missing today? Anybody pay attention to the ones that are still here? Y'all ever go look at which ones those are? Y'all want to do this together? The tribe of Benjamin, the tribe of Dan, and the tribe of Levi. Benjamin is a ravenous wolf. In the morning he devours the prey, and in the evening he divides the spoil. Dan, he's the deceiver. He makes everybody falls backwards. And then you have Levi, whose emblem is what? The sword. The swords of implements of violence. Or their swords are weapons of violence. That's the only one. You want to know where the lost tribes are, folks? Here we are after the story of Jacob Esau, learning about Israel, Jacob's 12 sons, 12 apostles, 12 tribes. We'll do that later. We're not going to do the apostles today, and I may do some more on the 12 tribes next week. Hey, guys, if y'all want some more of this, just let me know. We can. But what we find suspiciously is Esau and his sword, Levi, and the wolf, Benjamin, remain with their ever faithful companion, Dan the deceiver, causing men to backslide. Ever wonder why the attributes of the 10 lost tribes, not everyone, but honor, truth, integrity, you still believe it is a color of skin that identifies you as Israel? You think it's still a color of skin that identifies you? You think it's an accident Levi's the Leviathan, Dan the serpent, and Benjamin's the wolf in sheep clothing? You think it's accidental that the Levitical priesthood is part of the Leviathan? And that we come from a greater priesthood that is the order of what? Melchizedek? 1 Corinthians 9:25, and every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible. I therefore so run, not as uncertainty, so fight I, not as one that beateth the air. You're not just punching at the air, but I keep under my body and bring it what? Into subjection. Lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be cast away. John 8:22, then said the Jews, will he kill himself? Because he saith, whither I go, you cannot come. Who can't come? The Jew. They want us to believe, listen folks, understand this, recognize this. I don't hate any man or woman in this world. I do have issues with ideologies. They want you to believe that the black man, the white man, and the Jew are different races. And yes, we have differences. There's no doubt about it. We should probably never be moved from where we originally were, but that time's dead and gone. Our cultures are destroyed. Is there anything left to any of the cultures that somebody's want to hold on to? Hardly anything left. The point being that the Jew is the world. If you start understanding that, you'll understand why all Jewry's in major places of entertainment, military, technological, Hollywood. Why is it Jews that are there? They are the world. And he said unto them, you are from beneath. I am from above. You are of this world. I am not of this world. You are from beneath. You are from the what? First birth. I am from above. Second birth. The supplanter. I said therefore unto you that you shall die in your sins. For if you believe not that I am he, you shall die in your sins. The Jew cannot come. The Jew is in the world, and all the evil in it. They are Edom, Esau. That which is crooked cannot be made straight. A bad tree produced bad fruit. Until what? Hey, look, when I was bad, folks. Now when I do something goofy and stupid, what happens? I regret it. It eats at me for a week, 2 weeks, and I tell you this. I've been talking about this for a year now. When that spirit leaves me, when I lose that connection, when I do something stupid, I every time I feel dumber and dumber because I know better. But you can move the mountain kingdom. If you had the faith of the mustard seed, you say, get over there, and it would move. I am that I am. You got to know thyself to open the door. 2 Corinthians 13:5. And this just goes to prove to you, what we're going to finish with today is to prove to you that Esau and Jacob I'm 100% correct. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I don't care what anybody goes and does about, well, they can show that such and such lineage was in Ireland or such and such lineage was in Africa. Prove it. Well, so-and-so wrote this down. Well, there's a lot of so-and-sos that wrote a lot of junk down, folks. I've been researching this stuff for a long time. And one thing that I've come to realize is the more you go spiritual, the less and less people are in that realm. 2 Corinthians 13:5. Examine yourselves. That's the most important part of the statement. Examine yourselves, whether you be in the faith. Prove not your own selves. Know you not that your own selves, how that Jesus Christ is where? Except you be reprobate. Daniel 2:20-22. Praise be to the name of God forever and ever. Wisdom and power are his. He changes times and seasons. He sets up kings and disposes them. He gives wisdom to the wise and the knowledge to the discerning. He reveals deep and hidden things. He knows what lies in darkness, and light dwells within him. Hey, look, make the two one. Make the eyes single. That way you have spiritual sight and not what? How many physical eyes do you have? You think it's accident? Depth perception, right? John 10:1 or 101. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that entereth not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbeth up some other way, the same is a thief and a robber. But he that entereth in by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. And what is the shepherd? What's the one that entered in the correct way? Knock, ask, seek. Okay? To him the porter openeth. Who would be the porter? God the Father. And the sheep hear his voice. The righteous, that's what sheep represent. What do sheep represent in the Bible? Do you think we're talking about real bye-bye sheep? So what are we talking about? Righteousness, white, like the milk, right? He goeth before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. I speak unto them in parables, because seeing they see not, hearing they hear not, neither do they perceive with their heart. Unto you it is given to know the what? Mysteries of the kingdom. To them it is not given. You had to seek the porter. And when he putteth forth his own sheep, he goeth before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. And a stranger will they not follow, but will flee from him, for they know not the voice of strangers. This parable spake Yahushua unto them, but they understood not what things they were which he spake unto them. Then said Yahushua unto them again, Verily, verily, I say unto you, this is the most important part right here, I am the door of the sheep. What does that say? Let's slow down. How is he going to have access between the halls of your mind if you're looking outside? Where's the door? What's I am mean? It's the only irrefutable fact that you will ever, every day, wake up and live. Every moment that you're alive, it's the only fact, it's the only truth no one can ever take from you. And that is what? I am the door of the sheep. All that ever came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them. I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved and shall go in and out and find what? Pasture. The thief cometh not but for to steal, kill, and destroy. I'm come that they might have life and they might have it more abundantly. So there's a physical, steal, kill, and destroy, and then the spiritual, right? You start having life. Who can take my joy from me, guys? You live with me enough during the week, Joy. How often am I upset? Not very often. It's just they can't steal. My treasures aren't laid up in earth. The temple, altars of earth, vessels of clay. 2 Corinthians 6:16. And what agreement hath the temple of God with idols? For you are the temple of the living God. As God hath said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. So if somebody were to ask me today, who's my people? Right. I'm going to tell you, folks, I don't have very many of them. It's my spiritual brothers and sisters who I connect with on that other level. There's many of white folks in my family I wouldn't invite over here to my house. Why? They robbed me blind. Wherefore come out from among them, and be you what? separate, saith the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you, and will be a father unto you, and you shall be my sons and daughters, saith the Lord Almighty. Listen, folks, if you're looking to make the Bible a war document with the eyes of Esau, or you can see how to become Israel, it is the land flowing with what? Milk and honey. Righteousness, knowledge, joyful, pleasant, good words. Verily, verily, I say unto you, before Abraham was, I am. 2 John 1:7. For many deceivers are entered into the world who confess not that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh. This is a deceiver and an antichrist. Where's the temple that he dwells in? You deny the only unpardonable sin is committed in every single church house in America. They deny the Holy Spirit which dwells in you. And are looking where? Outside. Does this make any... Does the way that is presented, does it give you any leeway anywhere else where the kingdom of heaven is? Huh? No. Because it's simple. Mark 12:27. He is not the God of the dead. Abraham was. Jesus Christ is I am. Living and dwelling in all the temples of earth, the altars of earth. Going in and out and finding those who what? Open the doors and allow him in. If you seek, you shall find. If you knock, it shall be opened. These ideas. Mark 12:27, he is not the God of the dead, but the God of the living. You therefore do greatly err. Those scriptures make more sense now? Yeah, I hope so. This is the last slide, guys. We did good. So, guys, you know, as I become more and more aware of the things that I've read and studied for years now, what is becoming more and more evident to me is that many men and women out there are intentionally misleading people to suit their own needs. And I'm here to tell you right now, I'm not any kind of special man. I'm not anything in my eyes. But what I've showed you today is just as clear and evident. Did it make any sense to y'all? How hard was it to read it? It was there the whole time in black and white. And what did we have to do? We just had to quit looking at it with the physical eyes. It was just that simple. It was there. Matthew 15:8. This people draweth nigh unto me with their mouth, and honoreth me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. But in vain they do worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. Hear and understand, not that which goeth into the mouth defileth a man, but that which cometh out of the mouth, this defiles a man. By thy words thou shalt be justified, by thy words thou shalt be condemned. The golden rule applies to who? Everyone. Do unto thou others as you would what? Have them do unto you. Don't sit here and talk about how bad the Jew is and you want to go kill Jews. You better identify things and understand this reality is one weird place. All right? Hey, I'm not telling you this place isn't messed up, that I still got plenty of things to figure out, but I will tell you this. These spiritual studies that we have done together here in this on this channel, if you go start take these to heart, you will start opening up your horizons in your eyes and seeing the world in a different way. But also understand that you are not helpless, you are not hopeless, but be empowered and bold as a what? Why is it a lion? Judah, baby, you're holding the scepter. You're bold as a lion, a king of his own house. You've shut all the doors to the enemy. You don't let them in. They can't guilt you. They can't shame you. They can't take away that which was given by Almighty. They can't have it. They can't have it. So those on the outside that cannot see with their spiritual eyes, they mock, they scoff, they laugh, they joke, they make fun of. But they cannot understand what you're talking about. Richie from Boston cannot understand what I'm talking about. Yusuf L cannot understand what I'm talking about. He does all that claiming that he does and then foams off at the mouth about the white man's Bible written by Jews. He doesn't even know who the Jew is. Isn't that a shame? Been watching Yusuf for a long time. What happened? Now Yusuf is posting stuff about reptilians, posting stuff about clones and everything else. What's this man doing? He knows these speculative deals are a waste of time. That means he's been sitting there waiting for the whole time to spring a bunch of garbage on people while he sells his SPC university. Can't serve two masters, folks. He's not out for the good of mankind. He's looking to what? Further his own benefits, while it is presented to you as he's willing to help. Many claim they know, and they run their mouths pushing the same racial tribalism, easily recognized as stupidity such as my people. You know, when somebody goes talking like that, my people, come. I see it on both sides. It's just like, okay, well, I can go live in a house of 20 white men down the road here and not one of them be my brethren. I don't know very many people that think on the level that I do. Those who do are my brethren. But I tell you, the one sanctuary that I have every day, and that's inside this temple, speaking to my Father, and I know that I'm never alone. All mankind is enslaved until they overcome their what? Your own flesh. I can't explain that to the man that only sees with physical eyes. But my brethren Judah, I see them instantly now and quickly turn off the what? Hey, let me tell you how quick I unsubscribe from people now. Boom, boom, boom. Just like that. Hey, I haven't watched the Yusuf, and I'm not making fun of Yusuf or Richie or anybody else, but the things we're talking about in this study is a different plane of thought, folks. RFB coming here wasn't for who? It wasn't for Richie. I didn't know it at the time that we spent a great week together. We did. We had a great week together. You know that. We had a wonderful week together. No doubt that what transpired later wasn't for Richie. He could have grown with it if he had allowed it. He could have grown from the great talks that we had here, and we did. We had some deeply theological talks while we were here. He chose to disregard those as soon as he left. But it was for me. What has happened since I've broken apart from Richie? I went to the next level. Richie had become a what? A rock of offense, a stumbling block. I'm not saying he's an evil man, but he was causing me to fall backwards on my heels, wanting me to talk about, instead of letting the spiritual study grow, we had gotten stagnant. But I am forever thankful to the Father for who knoweth all things, because the trials, tribulations, and fire from that breakdown was the catalyst to furthering my spiritual knowledge and what? The inside, the inner man standing. I figured out in this time a lot of deep subjects, guys. And it's not because I'm some special guy. I'm asking the Father, and He's revealing these things to me. Hey, guys, we'll get into the 12 apostles and things of that nature next week. There's hidden messages. It's not really hidden. We got to start looking at these messages correctly. It's not that this stuff was in some super coded language, was it? No, we just don't have the eyes to see it, so we can't. But let's bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for anointing me with this message, and I hope this seed continues to fall on good ground. And let us not conform to this world, but let us be transformed by the renewing of our mind in that perfect, acceptable will of the Father. And we're going to continue calling unto you, Father, and you'll keep showing us everything. And let that word not return into the void. Let it accomplish that which you please and prosper in everything and everywhere that you send it. In your precious Son's name we pray. Hey guys, y'all have a great week out there in YouTube land. As y'all see, the storm wasn't that bad, so no worries there, guys.